Hey guys, my name is X-Factor. Welcome to some exclusive footage for the new upcoming map called Giant Shadow, which is free for everybody that owns Battlefield 1. If you pre-order the game or you have premium, you'll get early access starting December 13th. If not, you've got to wait till December 20th. 1 week. But that's not the only thing that's happening in Battlefield 1. There's a massive patch coming down the line. We're talking an overhaul of several vehicles, a complete balance patch on the vast majority of the weapons that needed some tweaking in Battlefield 1. It'll all be available December 13th. So I've got the patch notes in hand. I'm going to cover some of the stuff that I feel is pretty important. Then, of course, give you guys a link to read up down below and cover it at your own leisure. One of the most important things coming down the pipeline is Spectator mode is back. It's finally here and it's completely been reworked. We're not going to showcase that right now, but starting, of course, on December 13th, you can jump in around and check it out for yourself. Another custom game mode is coming called Standard Issue Rifles. This seems pretty interesting to me. All kits are granted access to their faction-specific Standard Issue Rifle. No optics here, only iron sights. So that means you can have a bolt action as a medic, support player, assault. Could be a lot of fun. The movement system in Battlefield has seen some bugs being squashed and some changes being made. Now when you're prone or you're crouching, you'll be able to go straight into sprint instead of feeling like your boots are stuck in quicksand or filled with cement. Another issue that's been plaguing the game is people spawning in without their vehicles. They might have the tanker or pilot kit. They might have fallen to their death, primarily in operations, or have a cavalry kit without a horse. And DICE says that they've made some adjustments and squashed some bugs. So that should not be happening anymore. You're about to see a lot more landships in Battlefield 1 because they've been drastically changed and buffed overall. Now, all teammates can spawn in at any point just like it's a heavy tank. They've also buffed and changed several driver abilities and the actual armor of it. The tank hunter variant, the actual primary, got buffed. Mortar Landship also has an increased range now, and they've added 2 LMG seats. The squad support Landship now has a 20mm front-facing cannon like the flanker. Tanks also take the same damage as heavy tanks, but remember, their treads are showing. It's a lot easier to disable them, so you still have to be careful. And emergency repair across the board has been nerfed down to 20% from 30%, but the track repair has been increased by 5%. Air vehicles are seeing an overhaul as well, along with some balance, including AA being nerfed yet again. The effective range of any stationary AA on the ground has been reduced to 334 meters, down from 400. But if it's still on the Dreadnought, be careful. It'll reach out and touch you up to 400 meters. Now, when it comes to the air vehicles, you're no longer instantly killing other planes with the Rankin darts. You used to be able to fly over a bomber or another fighter that wasn't paying attention. They'd be slightly ahead of you, and then you just give them a little kiss with the Rankin darts, and they disappear. That's completely been nerfed. They're still going to do some damage, but don't look for them to be able to one-bang anymore. But to compensate for that, the fighter plane variants have slightly increased damage to their MGs and a lot less overheating, along with rockets now having a higher velocity for more consistent damage. Another thing that was adjusted was the rear gunners have been nerfed. You used to be able to switch if you're in a fighter, if somebody's following you. If you had just a little bit of time, you could absolutely destroy who was on your tail. Well, now it actually pays to have a full plane because that damage has been reduced quite a bit, both at long and close range. Another issue was the way third person worked with ground vehicles, specifically some of the tanks in Battlefield 1. They've done a light of sight fix that's been in most of the battlefields. So if you could see somebody in first person, you could shoot them in third. But in Battlefield 1, if you could not see them in first person and you were just kind of touching a hill, you could switch to third person and all of a sudden you could shoot over that hill. They've adjusted that. If you can't see them in first, you can't shoot them in third, forcing you to look for another shot or reposition your piece of armor, more than likely putting you in harm's way in the process, the way it should be. DICE has also addressed shotgun balance and tweaked the actual crosshairs on each shotgun so you can be a little bit more consistent with landing your shots. The primary goal of this is, of course, to even out the advantages and disadvantages of each shotgun. The Model 10 Hunter and Factory could kill a full health target from an extremely long range for shotgun. you're going to notice that those ranges have been reduced. They've reduced the range on the M97 Trench, Model 10A, and Sawed Off. In turn, the M97 gets an extra pellet and improved damage drop-off from the sweeper. And they've also increased the accuracy of the 12G. So you should see a little bit more of a choice depending on what situation you're getting into and the shotgun you might want to grab next time. LMGs have received a balance patch as well. They've been buffed for close and medium range, including a couple of them getting a little bit of love at max damage range, including the bar. Won't hit for 21 anymore at max damage. It will hit for 23. And of course, that close and medium range accuracy has been slightly increased to help you out in those situations. You'll see the first few shots are slightly more accurate now. Is it a big bag or is it a small bag issue? Well, the answer to that got slightly more complicated because this is changing for both medics and support players. Yes, if you're a medic throwing the big bag, you can't heal if you're being shot at or if you're suppressed. But now both of these bags will serve more teammates and last longer, dishing out more heals and ammo before being depleted. And the medics have seen another tweak when it comes to the syringe. The medic train has kind of been changed a little bit. Now, there's a slight cooldown between syringe uses, but it could be ignored if there are ammo crates or ammo bags lying around the battlefield. Another major concern that the community has had for Battlefield 1 is what is going on with several capture points when it comes to operations. Well, the good news is DICE heard you, and they made several adjustments to Monte Grappa, Suez, Ballroom Blitz, and Argonne Forest, making tweaks to certain areas of the map where attackers had a difficult time capturing specific sectors. Does this mean the bunker busting is done, or can you actually pop the top of the bunker? I know what you're asking. Has the Hellriegel been nerfed, and has the Martini Henry been adjusted? And the answer is yes to both. The Martini Henry is now being affected by body parts. It was a bug in the game. So now there's a 0.9 multiplier to the lower torso and upper arms and 0.75 to the legs and forearms, just like the other rifles with sweet spot mechanics. Then, of course, the Hellriegel has seen a slight nerf when it comes to some of the recoil, and then of course first shot multiplier. One of my favorite pistols in Battlefield 1 has seen some love, and that's the number 3 revolver. They've decreased its reload time and increased its rate of fire from 150 rounds a minute to 164, making it a bit of a stronger pick compared to some of the other pistols based on the situation you're in. But remember, there is no revolver that one shots in the head still, with the number 3 still doing 90 damage to the head at point blank range. Another question you might have is what is up with the rental server program? Still, no news on that, but no, DICE is actually listening to the community and working on it as we speak. More than likely, it's going to take a bit more time before we get some news, and more than likely some changes that we, the community, deserve, because that program has gone completely backwards compared to previous titles. What about optimization and tweaks to the game? DICE has done a ton of bug squashing. It's a pretty lengthy list, including several changes to the optimization of the actual game itself, including a new FPS limiter that's built into the game. Now you won't have to use a third-party program like your recording software. You can just do it in your game if you're having problems with high CPU usage. Another thing that might help you if you have a higher end system and a high-end graphics card with a lot of VRAM is they've taken off a hard limit on that VRAM usage. More than likely, your card was capped out way short of what your actual VRAM was. So if you have a higher end system, you should see much better frame rates and performance in general. But that begs the question, what about several of the maps where you absolutely dump frame rates depending on where you're standing or what you're looking at? And has DICE addressed some of the issues when the Dreadnought and Zeppelin come out? It seems to be tanking people's frames, not to mention the map-specific problem that I was talking about. It'll be interesting to see if some of those issues are addressed in this patch. Another common sight in Battlefield 1 was actually joining squads. It was hard to do at times because these squads would be locked. Now, if you join a server and there's 2 people in the squad, that squad is unlocked by default. Now, how about suppression and grenade spam? There is a new crossbow coming into the game. It is a support gadget only, It is both anti-armor and anti-infantry, so make your selection carefully. But both suppression and grenade spam in general have not been adjusted at all. That includes grenade refill times and gas refill times as well. More than likely that will be addressed in the future, but at this point in time, it has not been touched. Remember, these patch notes are rather lengthy. There's a ton of UI changes, bug squashing, and other adjustments going on. Don't forget to check out the description, read up on it, and let me know what you think. What are some of your favorite things? What are some of the things that you might not agree with? Remember, this patch goes live on December 13th. Everybody gets the update, but not everybody can play the map until the 20th unless you have premium or you pre-order. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you guys soon.